Oh, who are you lunching with?
I'm lunching with a whole team of brokers in my broker team.
Way to go, brokers.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have to get gas too. Oh, shit. I have no gas. This could be interesting. Have you? I don't know if I'm even going to make it to the gas station. We'll see what happens here.
Oh, we're going to truly break down live. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is a live breakdown. So what's everybody up to before I get to the gas station? I can't see who's on right now.
Well, I'm sitting and waiting to see which way interest rates jump, because I've got indicators from that it could go up, indicators that it could go down, indicators that it could stay flat. So it's going to be a fun couple of months, I think.
Oh, Alex, I bet it's going to be one of those things.
I know,
I bet it's going
man.
to go
That's
up or down or flat.
I know. It's like, dang, that's a pretty good bet. Shoot, I might have to. I could offer you odds on that.
Yeah, Vegas odds are 100%.
I just looked at an offer from somebody that was sent to me on a jumbo loan at 2.67%. Holy smokes, that's a good deal.
Well, there's more questions there then. Was it an ARM? Was it a fixed rate? Was it a big buy down? What's the APR?
Good question. Well, now you've got me curious, but I'm in the car, so I won't look.
Ooh, inquiring minds want to know.
Yes, I believe I just set the record for all of Mercer Island, highest price per square foot of a home under contract, at least.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Was this your builder's deal?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was quite an experience to see the length what length some of these brokers will go to try and game the situation or find out what is happening in order to be the top dog. I mean, like crazy stuff. I was shocked at some of the tactics that were employed. Let's put it that way. I mean, like calling me from a bunch of different numbers because I stopped answering my phone. I stopped answering emails, texts, phones, everything, because I was almost slimy what was going down. It was really weird on trying to get information from me in order to secure this property. Pretty interesting. But anyways, fingers crossed. I think I'm about to get mutual, hopefully.
Yeah,
actually, I'm not even going to say it.
So fucking good in the venue. So
nice.
So what's up? Anybody need any help with anything? Because I'm not going to be on that long, or I'm going to have to get some gas, and then I can jump back on. What's going on in everybody's world? I can't see how many people are on or anything like that.
I haven't been on in a couple years and saw the invite and thought I would jump in and say hi.
Hi, who is this?
Cindy Hileman.
Hi, Cindy. What's up with you? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Well, I joined in a few years ago when me and my brother kind of, we started flipping a couple houses. And since then, I've gotten my realtor's license. I'm a broker down here in Tacoma.
Perfect. Awesome stuff. Are you guys still flipping?
No, my brother moved away since, but as part of our team, we actually do a lot of probate and we help our clients and we work with a lot of contractors and do some repairs on the houses.
Super awesome. Well, that's a good niche for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a special way of getting probate leads, or you guys just
we do using all the leads and then a lot of referral.
All the leads is a lead service that provides probate leads.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. You guys send letters at all to personal representatives or any of that jazz?
Yes. Yeah. We get a monthly list in the Tacoma area and send out a letter.
And are you finding that that's receptive, or is it like regular old response rate on direct mail, which is low?
It's a low response rate. We try to make calls as well. The majority of it comes from referral.
Great. Awesome stuff. Well, it looks like I'm gonna make it to the gas station without running out of gas. That's a bonus for today. Anybody else have anything going on? Welcome back. Is there anything that you want to talk about or the topics that you're interested in?
Yeah, I wanna go back to the direct mail really quick. I heard that it's a low response rate, but what's the rate of return? We never talk about that in response to direct mail. We could have a low response rate, but the rate of return is just ungodly.
Ungodly great.
So do you have any analytics behind that between what you've paid and what the rate of return on that is?
I don't personally. Julianne, I'm new to the team. I joined in February. She's been tracking it for years. We did actually get 2 listings this year from it. So.
Right.
I'm gonna get some
Always
gas.
a good follow-up question. It's the same question. It's the same question that I always ask when agents are like, "Oh yeah, my CGI was just crazy awesome. I CGI'd $1 million." I'm like, "Well, what was your net?" Right? So you know, it definitely a question to follow up with.
Yeah, definitely. And we do track all that. I just am not privy to all the specifics.
I'd be curious.
So I have a question while Julie's putting fuel in. Maybe Alex or Keith, you guys might have an answer to this. How do you see FHA appraisals being impacted now that they've made desktop pretty much a permanent way to do those?
I didn't know desktop was a permanent way to do things in FHA.
So it came out early in COVID where they made it, you know, you could do desktop appraisals for FHA and then went away. And then like 2 days ago, I saw an article saying it's been returned and so far indefinitely.
Well, they want to return it. I didn't know that went full force ahead.
I might have misread it, so I'll have to look.
Yeah, they want to return it, and I'm mixed emotions about it, Dion, because here's the thing. I'm getting now some situations that I'm having resales come up that were purchased 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, when COVID was getting full force and ramping up, and we went to that. And there was stuff that the FHA appraiser, had they gone out and saw the actual property, they wouldn't have given it a as-is value. They would have said this property is subject to the following repairs, right? So I'm not a huge fan of a carte blanche. We should do desktop appraisals. There's a reason why we want the appraiser in the house. To me, there's a lot of cosmetic cover-ups that agents could do that would normally be called out by FHA, but get missed in the drive-by. That's my 2 cents.
No, that does make sense. So problems can be missed by an FHA appraiser. I can't think of one, but are there times you think an appraiser would estimate the value lower because of something they don't see at the house? I mean, most upgrades are going to be permitted if the person is trying to sell and include the value.
Yeah, and FHA appraisers are great in calling out non-permitted additions. But, you know, we never experienced firsthand like a low appraisal because it was a desktop. We experienced a low appraisal because of, well, the other houses in the neighborhood haven't sold at that level and you're trying to be a market setter, right? So I think from a value standpoint on purchases, because purchases, they have the weather vane of the purchase and sale to guide them. But we did have some more struggles when it came to refinances.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know. I'm going to go look that up though, Dion, because I want to know if they're going to go full-time desktop. I mean, this is going to be a migration that you're going to see more and more for 2 reasons. Number one, appraisers are getting old and they're retiring, and we're not getting enough appraisers into the business, and no one's talking about changing the barrier of entry. So until that happens, we're going to have a work shortage when it comes to appraisers going forward. So that's why they're leaning on desktop appraisals, and then also just sheer volume. If you have to go inspect and walk through and take pictures of each house that you do, then your time is finite. So therefore, your appraiser can only do so many deals because they can only walk through so many houses.
Right. That's what I was reading with the research. It was showing that it was a way to alleviate the stress of the volume, like appraisals being pushed out so far that it's causing lending issues. I mean, we're struggling with that here. I have a friend closing on a duplex. We went to set up an inspection, and we just did a 5-day inspection period to be a little more attractive to the seller. And finding an inspector to get there in those 5 days was a challenge. So
different question altogether. Well, yeah, I mean, up in the Panhandle here in Idaho, appraisers are taking 5 to 6 weeks. It is what it is. So.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, Keith. I've had a number of deals where we've had to push out closing by like a few days because appraisals just took an insane amount of time. We've also noticed that the pricing on a lot of appraisals has crept up pretty significantly.
That is an understatement. Yes, very significantly. So
I just had an appraiser quote me $2,400 to do a rushed appraisal over in Port Angeles of a single family rental, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, $2,400.
Well, might as well just get a full-blown commercial appraisal at that point.
We're looking into that option because we're like, okay, look, we could pay another like $600 and get a commercial appraisal, and it'll probably come to us maybe about 2 weeks faster. And
a phase one.
Yeah, so just like it's not great right now. Not great.
Do you also find that a lot of appraisers are cutting corners right now and not like walking around the full property? Like I just had I'm doing a HELOC on my main house right now, and they had an appraisal, but they just did it from the front of the property. They didn't even like walk around the property, and they were charging like $850, which is kind of crazy to me. So.
Yeah, I got a client where we're disputing an appraisal right now because the appraiser, I think, somehow missed about 500 square feet of living space, and it's causing the value on the ARV on our property be down by about 20%. So Keith, I think some appraisers are just trying to move as fast as they can, and like you said, they're cutting some corners to try and just pump out more appraisals.
Yeah, and that same thing happened to me because the value is lower because they didn't walk around, because I've got a like full garage with foundation and like, there's things that they should have accounted that they didn't because they missed it. So, but yeah.
Do you know if that was a full interior exterior or was that just an exterior only?
Exterior only. Yeah.
Yeah. HELOCs will do exterior only, and all they have to do is drive by the house and make sure it's standing. That's
wow. Really? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
What?
So you can always counter the bank or the lender to do a full interior exterior appraisal.
Mm-hmm. I did bring it up with them because I felt like the price was just not justified, for what they did. Just doing a drive-by kind of thing. So
an $800 drive-by. I'm doing $800 interior exteriors. That sounds very high.
Super high. Yeah. So I told the bank, I'm like, you guys need to, find a better appraiser because you guys are getting ripped off and you're passing that on to me, and that's that I'm not okay with that. So
yeah. that's pretty weak.
Keith, were you guys talking about, I saw on Housing Wire, is this how it came up? Somebody saw that article about all desktop appraisals now or something?
Yeah, that FHA is looking to migrate that way. I don't know. I'm going to follow back up with it because Dion said they adopted the rule. And I would be, I haven't heard anything from FHA. So
I thought
wanna
I read
follow up
that this morning on Housing Wire.
For it's
So
worth,
my-
I have a deal right now where it's FHA, 735K purchase price. It's going out there today, normal appraisal for FHA, so whatever that's worth.
yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not a fan of it, especially with FHA.
My question
Not a
is like, as a borrower, I mean, essentially it's part of your closing costs, or the borrower pays the appraisal, right? So wouldn't it be in your best interest to have your appraiser go out and take a look at things? And if so,
Yes.
is that something a borrower could even request? Like, hey, I don't want a desktop appraisal on my purchase.
Always request. They should always request it. If I'm buying a house that's got 6 figures or 7 figures in it and I'm using a FHA appraiser, I want interior exterior. That's just me. And yes, you guys can always request of the lender to make the specific report type. Just because it says we could get away with a desktop, that just means we can get away with a desktop. We can do the full inspection all the time.
Hey Keith, if somebody requests the full inspection, do you think that means that they don't like lose any ability to to close on time or anything like that? Because it's not like people are shortening closing dates because they're getting a desktop appraisal, right? They're probably still using the same 30 days or whatever.
Same 30
either way.
day. Yeah, correct.
Javen, that's a
Correct.
great question. You should post that in VIP and say, hey, make sure everybody requests a full interior exterior appraisal. That was a good question on their
Yeah,
FHA stuff.
I'm 100% going to tell this to every single one of my clients. And kind of backtracking to appraisers cutting corners. I had I was representing the seller. I had the VA appraiser go out and he calls me. It was like, he was here for 8 minutes, like literally 8 minutes is how long it took on a 2,500 square foot house.
Wow.
Justin Stiles is getting his appraiser's license. If anybody knows Justin.
Good for him. Who's he apprenticing with?
I'm not sure.
Wow.
Not
That'll
sure.
be cool.
So we recorded a second podcast yesterday with Kaitlyn Jackson from Dimension Law Group on the updates to the rental housing laws. Of course, we all know about the 180-day requirement on rent increases in Seattle, which is crazy. But I'm not prepared to talk about it today, but I think it'll be dropped in about 2 weeks. But if anybody has rental questions, hit me up because I have some insider info from Kaitlyn on that topic.
How do we feel about Zillow pausing the iBuyer on Monday?
I think it's just a pause.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why aren't hiring people on staff, construction on staff to handle this stuff rather than.
Have you tried to get a contractor, Julie?
I've been having great luck with all my stuff. I haven't had any problems with anything. Inspections, appraisals.
You know people though.
You don't think Zillow knows people? You don't, I mean.
No, not in the contractor world, no.
Well.
They've been fleecing us mortgage and real estate people for the last decade.
Well, no, what I'm saying is why aren't they hiring those people on staff on salary? You know?
Because they probably don't want to pay them what the market's paying them right now.
Because they're losing money and they can't afford it. No, it's crazy. Yeah. I'm sure they'll be back. But Redfin is still buying and they're buying here in this area. So if you need an offer, you can call Redfin. This is what I call modern brokerage.
Well, I have a question for you because one of my agents I was talking to iBuyers with the other day, and she goes, I'm really curious how the legislation is going to play out on this. if there will ever be, but iBuyers are, she said that there was a case study that was presented to her that Zillow bought a handful of properties in a neighborhood, and they ratcheted up price every single time one of the houses sold. So they were kind of artificially going in and buying a neighborhood and increasing the price in that neighborhood artificially.
I was going to
somebody's
bring this
buying it,
up.
right?
Hey,
Somebody's
Keith,
buying
did you see the TikTok video that went viral about that?
That's what I was
No.
going to bring up. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did a rant about it because what the claim was, Zillow would buy 30 units in an area for $300,000. And then they would buy one all cash for $340,000. And the guy who made the TikTok video tried to present it in a way to people who don't understand how comps work, that one comp at 340,000 would instantly raise all of those $300,000 properties to 340. So Zillow could sell them and make $1.2 million in one transaction. So it started the myth of Zillow was doing this, but it was ridiculous because 30 comps at 300,000 versus one comp at 340,000 isn't going to raise the property values.
It's kind of like in high school when you failed every single quiz, but you got an A on the test. Guess what? You still failed.
Right.
So, but I am really curious what will come of that, because we've never had that situation where on such a scale somebody could go in and buy a neighborhood and artificially inflate it.
But you'd have to find like 30 units close enough to each other for all of those sales to count as comps to each other. And what Zillow showed is that they're good at buying properties overpaying for them. They're not good at flipping them when they overpay for them.
Yep.
So,
I mean, technically, Invitation Homes has done that a little bit, right? They're looking for those subdivision type. That's their bread and butter, Oh shit. Oh my God. I think I'm going to get stuck here with an accident.
Oh,
Please, Louise. All right. Sorry guys, living in my house. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is though, if somebody buys that property for $340,000, then, and that was put out to the market, then, they're saying that Zillow bought it for 340 to set the price.
Yeah.
Is that the point?
correct. Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, we shall see what happens. But Meet Kevin, you guys ever follow that? I know Dion did a rant on it too, but I saw Meet Kevin is one of my guys that I follow. I think I've mentioned him here before. If you guys haven't checked him out on YouTube, interesting cat. He did a big rant on it as well. And I'm going to do a big rant because I'm stuck now on an accident on the Aurora Bridge.
Oh boy. Yeah, you're locked. Are you on the bridge deck?
Not yet. I'm trying to get on it.
Can you go either way? Well, you probably got the barrier. Can you take a right? I'm assuming you're going south.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can take a right and go through Fremont and that area.
Yeah. Let me try this. Talk amongst yourselves all.
Yeah. But no, well, I mean, everything in an appreciating market is all game, right? But it's when there's a depreciating event, not that I'm forecasting one of those, but it's very interesting if there's going to be any price fixing that is perceived.
So just a question. So is the allure of like using the iBuyer, are they just giving great offers? Coming from someone who's not in the industry, is that just kind of how they're able to get all of these properties?
That's not my allure. That's not how I look at it. I look at it as people are lazy and they think they can buy everything on the internet now, and they don't know the value of what really.
I can tell you. Can you guys hear me?
Go the easiest way.
Can you hear me, Keith?
Yeah, I can hear you. I blanked out. Somebody tried to call me.
I can tell you guys that this is not going to go away. This is what I call modern brokerage, and anybody's who's in my VIP education community as a broker will be getting a full training on this from me shortly. But you know, these days it's amazing how many appointments I go on where the sellers are, I mean, I basically present to them, here's an investor offer, which means a 25% discount. Here is a traditional listing. Here is what I call an off-market retail buyer. And in that category, I put Zillow or Redfin, and I make it like 92% or something of the purchase price, of the list price. And it is amazing how many people want those options. Like, you've got to know where to go these days. You know, whether, in my opinion, whether you're an investor or a broker, because it's about talking to people and you know, giving them the information they need to make an informed decision. And I am happy, I hate to say it, that Zillow and Redfin are here, only for the fact that it's making my job easier, because now I have built-in buyers for that hard to please client that I can't get for a flip or an investor or won't list, or I have a solution for that I can actually get paid a full commission on now. They just made my job easier. I've always been kind of ahead of the times, and now that they're here in town, you know, whether they're taking a temporary break or not, this is not going to go away. And in fact, I think it's going to get to the point where there's direct online home buying from the buyers. That's going to happen as well. And I'm preparing my world and everybody that hangs out with me for that as well.
Are you saying an eBay of real estate?
I'm saying that it's going to be made easy for buyers to make an offer direct to, it's, you know, more direct than maybe cutting out the agent a little bit more, right? I think that's going to be possible, or at a minimum, squeezing the fees down. There's going to be some sort of, not only there's going to be direct access. So even already, like Open Door and some of these other places, if it's their listing, they've got it set up. And I mentioned this in a post, I don't know if it was on VIP or SIC, that buyers can get in themselves now. They don't even need an agent to go into the house with them, even if it's vacant, as long as it's vacant and it's listed by.
Hey, Julie.
Yeah.
A lot of the investors that I work with are using agents, not really for finding the deal or negotiating the deal, but mostly because of the paperwork. So you contact the investor contacts their agent and says, I want to make this offer. They basically spell out an email with everything that the offer needs. The agent translates that into that thing that the investor docu-signs, like they have to click on to make the actual offer. As soon as somebody online figures out a way to present all of that paperwork in a format that the investor's comfortable with, I think a lot of investors are going to skip the agent aspect.
It seems like the trend. Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And the other thing that's going to happen is there's a startup out there that you're going to be able to, I've already signed up with them, testing it out. That's my hobby. And you're going to be able to make an offer direct to an off-market homeowner. You're going to be able to contact that homeowner and have paperwork and make a direct offer to them off-market. Think of it like Zillow and being able to push a button on the all the forms, everything's there for you to just write up an offer and make him an offer. That's going to happen. You guys hearing me anymore?
No, say that one more time, because somebody else was talking, so I couldn't hear your.
What's going to happen is there's a startup out there. I can't remember the name right now off the top of my head, but I am beta testing with them. And there's going to be an app where anybody can make an offer to an off-market homeowner, right, through their app that will have everything ready to go for you to make that offer, where there's a bunch of information, all the data, consider all like the Zillow data or whatever data they're gathering. And, you know, you'll be able to somehow send that off-market homeowner an offer directly through this app, you know, making it streamlined.
Hmm.
So let's say you're an investor or you're an agent, and you're right now, good agents, they look off market for their buyers. There'll be a way for you to use this app to reach out and, you know, make those offers. It's all changing. Again, modern brokerage. You can either cry about it or you can find a way to incorporate it into your life and take advantage of it, which is what I'm doing. Do I want Zillow buying houses or anything else? Of course I don't, but you know, I send, is a terrible example, so I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say I send my kids to Catholic school. We're not Catholic, but it's the best school around here for their education. But I have a neighbor that bitches at me about sending my kid to a Catholic school because of the sexual abuse stuff that happens in, you know, in the Catholic Church, right? And I'm like, well, you know, I can't conquer the world necessarily, but I'm just trying to set my kid up for a good education. I feel like with all the Zillow and Open Doors, if you haven't realized that is, there's no fighting it. It's coming. It's done. It's here. And, you know, they're now Redfin is making $800,000 offers in Seattle. The average Joe, anybody can get a hold of $1 million cash to make a cash offer, you know, through bridge loans and fly homes and all these things. They're not the only ones out there. I mean, if you can think of a way to buy a home, there's going to be a startup or an app for it. And the smart players will understand how to harness all that, whether you're an investor or a broker, a buyer, a seller, whatever, right? If you're the one that knows all the information, you're going to be a transaction facilitator, not, you know, not necessarily a real estate agent. You're going to be a transaction facilitator, and you just got to figure out how to add your value, which, you know, honestly, it's making our lives easier. If you're a wholesaler, your life is going to be harder. If you're an investor looking for wholesale deals, I think your life is harder unless you're super duper duper dialed, or it's, you know, you're working your relationships somehow. But that's my 2 cents.
So you're saying that everybody needs to be more creative, right?
Everybody needs to know what the landscape of real estate looks like these days.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Most people aren't even aware of what's going on. They're just focused on traditional ways or investor taught ways of doing stuff. They're not aware of all the players in the game.
So they're trying to play soccer on a baseball diamond, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah. Good one, Keith.
Yeah.
You're so smart. So my job, you know, with my VIP team and everything like that is to keep us all fully informed of what modern brokerage looks like and how to use all those tools to our advantage. And honestly, it's fun. You walk into your appointments, you look like a goddamn rock star. That could be whether you're a wholesaler. That's why I think wholesalers need to have a license, because there's so many ways you can answer all the questions these days rather than just one way. I mean, a wholesale fee, what's the difference? It gets taxed the same as a commission.
Ordinary.
Gets taxed the same, you know, ordinary income. But whatever, right? Is Kevin Ackerman on the call today? Does anybody see Kevin?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, Kevin.
Hello.
You can tell him about your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of bouncing off what you were saying, really, it's Sundae. It's very similar to that platform you were talking about, where you can make offers directly on the off-market properties that we have on our platform. So it's similar to, say, like, you know, buying off-market, but we just present it in a user-friendly format, similar to you would like in a Zillow or a Redfin. But we have the option of putting an offer in directly through our portal. So it makes it a lot easier for both yourself and the seller to receive offers.
Right. So Kevin works for Sundae. Sundae is a new off-market platform where if you're an investor, you can look at the deals they have on their off-market marketplace where they work with buyers to get the word out essentially to as many investors as possible, get as many investors to make an offer on it as possible. And there's a platform fee the buyer pays 5% on top of, there's a list price on there. Is that accurate, Kevin, or no?
Yeah,
Is
so
it?
there's a list price, and then from that price, we take the 5% fee.
So it's already grossed up.
Correct.
Gotcha. So the list price on Sunday already embeds the 5% platform fee that a buyer pays. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are investors, I can't see any of you today because I'm driving, but and you would like to get signed up to get access to the deals that end up getting listed on Sunday, just making a big push into the Washington market here, then you guys can talk to Kevin on how to get signed up on that.
Hey, Kevin, does that get disclosed as an assignment fee, or does that get disclosed as regular real estate compensation?
So we are a brokerage, and we are signed up on the MLS, but the way that we do it, we represent the seller in our contract. And so it's similar to a listing, but it essentially off market. Yeah.
But from a finance standpoint, you guys are not calling it an assignment fee.
No, it's just like a fee that we charge, but it's not an assignment fee.
Okay.
Is it collected as a commission, Kevin, or is it collected as a fee?
We call it a fee, not a commission per se.
If you look on a closing statement next time you get a chance,
Mhm.
look and see how it's represented on a closing statement, is Keith's point. So
Yeah, and then what does it say as far as the seller, the actual entitled
they're not
property owner?
getting loans on this, Keith. This is only for cash buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main differences there. It's that, yeah, we take hard money or cash and we collect that as a fee.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're ready to open it up to conventional lending, let me know. We can make sure it's structured right.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely working on a lot of things behind the scenes. So once we do get to that point, we are also planning on working with an agent at some point as well. So I'll keep you all in the loop when that does come out.
Right on. And me and Kevin are hanging out as well. So,
Yep.
you know,
How many transactions have you guys put through the system in like October?
October, I think we're coming up on, like nationwide, we're coming up on like around 1,000.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mostly in other states at this point.
Yeah, we're pretty new in Washington. So we've got like 3 on the market right now. Yeah.
I believe that Redfin told me, I talked to a Redfin person, that they had about 175 transactions going.
In Washington?
I believe so.
Nice.
That's, that's something, guys. And it's that middle piece, right? So I don't know. You can actually make more as an agent being a wholesaler. If you want a wholesaler who's actually an agent, we don't call that wholesaling, we call that brokering. And, I think it's a big myth. I've always had a big beef with people who say, I don't want to get my real estate license because I'm wholesaling. Well, the only reason in my book that you wouldn't do that is because you are taking such a big wholesale fee that it almost would be unscrupulous for you to get that big fee.
Yeah.
Right. And therefore put your license in jeopardy. So I guess if you're making 30 grand a pop on your wholesale fees, that's one thing. But if you're making like 10 to 15 or something, or anywhere up to 15, I think you're leaving a lot of money on the table in modern real estate world. That's just my 2 cents. Anybody who wants to talk to me about that, feel free to reach out to me. But good stuff. Good
Kevin,
stuff.
can you put your contact info in the chat?
Will do.
Thanks.
What else? Even like EXP has I'm at EXP Realty. We have a cash express offers. If you ever guys go check it out, it's called expressoffers.com. It's their own cash buyer platform. I think I've spent $6,000 on it. And I have, between closings and pipeline, $110,000 of business. Closed 3 already this year with more lined up, even double siding it. So the game is changing, man. Faux show. Does anybody have any, I don't see who's on there today, but is anybody out there building any new construction that's on today? I'm looking for anybody who wants to like pre-sale new construction. If that sounds like you, send me a text. 206-910-2985. Yeah. What else? I can't wait to share with you the results of, I'm working on a 7-unit apartment building that has all month-to-month leases, 2 of them missing. And it's in Seattle.
How do you have missing leases?
Because you're 93 years old.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yep. And all kinds of fun stuff, like every single thing, low income, below 80% the median income, attorney involved. I guess I can say made the business decision to not, the city of Seattle has all these crazy laws, which is one of them I mentioned before, that you have to like tell all the tenants in the city that you're selling the building, so they have a right to try and buy it first.
Yep.
Or make an offer. But business decision wise, especially with a tenant, that kind of puts her in a duress situation, if you ask me. This owner who lives in the building, to have all her tenants move out if they find out the building's going to be sold, or lose her income, not be able to pay her prescription bills, that's crazy. Versus getting a published fine of a small amount if you don't comply with this ordinance of intent to sell. Right? I'm not a lawyer. She's gotten her own legal advice, but just some super craziness going on. Now, if you want to evict somebody, you have to first offer them this payment plan, which if they don't accept, then you can move to try and get some rental assistance money. It's almost like the podcast we did yesterday made me even more confused about what the hell you can or can't do. Kaitlyn was telling me she's got clients that are being foreclosed upon. Landlords are being foreclosed upon who haven't been able to receive any rent. That it just drives me nuts. Keith, I want to know. Oh, this is what I want to ask Keith. If somebody hasn't paid their mortgage payment, right?
Yeah.
There's no reporting of how would anybody be able to see that? Is there any public record we'd be looking for on that?
Well, the foreclosure process starts at 90 days delinquent, right? And that becomes public record because, at least in Washington, but this is on residential. If you got multifamily,
so as long
over
as it's
unit,
not FHA or government backed or whatever, if it was.
No, anybody that wants to foreclose on a residential property has to start the foreclosure process, and that's how you start it with the trustee's deed notice that, hey, you're late in rent, or you're late in mortgage payment, and you have X amount of days, 60, 90, 120 days to make it due, or we're going to auction your house.
But that's a public notice that gets recorded.
That is a public notice that gets recorded.
But is there still, you can't foreclose on certain loan types? Is that
the foreclosure moratorium? I thought it was only extended until the end of October.
Yeah, well, we need to circle up on that.
Yeah.
Because
I'll double check on that.
It's happening. I mean, it's starting to happen that landlords are getting foreclosed upon, which is ridiculous because you'd think they'd have equity. But
Right.
Caitlin's telling us she's seeing it happen.
And only landlords that got into it in the last year and a half, 2 years are high risk. The rest of the landlords out there, if they're really not getting rents and what have you, they just need to deleverage from the situation and sell the property. They shouldn't try to pound their chest and be Superman and hold on to it. If shit's gonna hit the fan, you guys, you want shit to hit the fan early, not go down with the ship. There's no heroics in going down with your ship.
But that's a valid point. It would probably be more somebody who purchased the property. I mean, like literally
2019, 2000, yeah, early
but
2000.
why has it gone up so much since then?
You know, it begs the question. I mean, did they turn around and re-leverage in home equities or what have you to cause them to be underwater?
I'm gonna ask. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can get an answer on the profile of who the heck's getting foreclosed.
That would be my question.
Right, because you're right. It would need to be like somebody that's cross-collateralized, maybe.
Possibly.
A lot of people expected there to be a tsunami of foreclosures as soon as the moratorium was up. And the data shows that on an average month before 2020, we would have 40,000 evictions filed. And in the first month after the moratorium, we had 26,000. So we're at about 60%. And most of it comes from, like Keith said, people have equity. If you know, Washington and Seattle, what was it, 30% increase in the last year? 16% the rest of the state, 24% nationwide. So to be in a non-equity position, you have to, like he said, have taken money out or just bought it recently and then run into problems.
So technically you could do a search maybe on homes that are rental, non-owner occupied with second loans on them.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, right? That might be a tip off for those of you that are into pulling lists.
Yeah, the other thing that people could have got themselves into too, as far as landlords getting foreclosed on, there's a lot of folks in the last 2 years that have max leveraged their departing residence as owner occupied, put that max leverage down as a down payment for their new owner occupied house, and then rented out their departing residence. Right. So in that situation, you have a departing residence that's max leveraged at 90 or 95%. If you're VA, you do 100% cash out, and then you take that cash out and put it down as your new owner occupied down payment. So those people could be upside down.
Right. I mean, it's easy to pull a list of, you can pull a list based on equity percentages if you're on like PropStream or one of those.
But if I'm sure everybody on this call is of like mind, if anybody's in a place where they're getting a foreclosure notice, they need to be talking about exit strategies that are not foreclosure. There's so many options out there for people that I really don't understand in today's real estate market how anybody's letting their house go to foreclosure other than denial.
Right.
It shouldn't happen.
Considering you can get an offer almost like in the 90% from somebody like Zillow or Redfin.
Right.
If you're aware, of which most people probably are not.
Well, and this goes out to all those wholesalers out there. I mean, there's still a lot of people that aren't connected to the modern world. Most of them are baby boomers or older that, you know, my dad has a flip phone, for Christ's sakes. His internet's one step above dial-up out on the farm. So,
but does he check Zillow for his property value?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah. No, it's funny you say that because I sent him a snippet of Redfin. I said, "Hey, look at Redfin has your value at X." He goes, "Oh, what's this Redfin website?" I'm like, "Oh my God, Dad."
Right.
So, right? They got off the technology bus. What's his address? Yeah, so they got off the technology bus. There's lots of people off the technology bus that could still use help.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping to get mutual on a 7-unit apartment building today, and the seller, she texts. That's all she does. No email, everything's in person. That's one way to get a deal. But I gotta jump, guys. And so, as usual, I've enjoyed your company. And I will talk to you next time.
Right on, right on.
Later.
Have a
Thanks,
good one.
Julie.
You guys feel free to stay on if you want.
All right.
Take care, guys. Thanks.
Have a good one.